This is the story of Colby Covington, a fighter who's impossible to ignore. In a sport full of champions, his name stands out for more than just his victories. Love him or hate him, Covington has a way of making people talk. From his rise to the top to the controversies that follow him, his journey is a testament to his unshakable will to stay on top, no matter what. Colby Covington didn't start out as a villain, but as a kid with a dream. Growing up in Oregon, Covington's passion for wrestling paved the way for his future. From a young age, he was relentless, unlike most kids. His sights were set on greatness. A high school wrestling prodigy, Covington's talent quickly caught the attention of college scouts. It was at Iowa Central Community College that Covington really made a name for himself, securing a national title. But that wasn't enough. The hunger for more drove him deeper into the world of combat sports. A transition from wrestling to MMA, an aggressive step for a man unafraid of challenges. He didn't come from money, and he wasn't backed by big names. But Covington had something that no one could take from him: belief in his abilities. The sport hadn't seen the full force of his personality yet, but his talent was undeniable. Covington's entry into the UFC was a statement, a declaration that he wasn't here just to participate, but to dominate. His early fights showed glimpses of brilliance, but it was his relentless cardio and pressure that separated him from the pack. A whirlwind of takedowns, ground and pound, and precise striking made Covington a rising star in the welterweight division. But it was the Demian Maia fight that truly put him on the map. Against a seasoned grappler, Covington outworked, out-wrestled, and ultimately outclassed his opponent, leading to a unanimous decision victory. His skills were no longer in question, but what came next would change his career forever. Here's where we pause. Ask yourself this: how far would you go to ensure your legacy? Covington didn't just rely on his skills in the octagon. He knew the world outside the cage needed something more. His persona evolved, one that polarized fans and fighters alike. Love him or hate him, Colby Covington became the villain MMA didn't know it needed. With a new persona, Covington wasn't just winning fights, he was winning attention. He embraced the role of the bad guy, leaning into provocative comments and controversial moments. In a sport where fighters often fade into obscurity, Covington carved out his niche. His public persona, loud, brash, unapologetic, became as much a part of his legacy as his performance in the octagon. But was this all just an act? A strategy to get fights, secure pay, per-view headliners, and demand the world's attention? Some say yes. Covington himself has hinted at it, but the line between truth and performance has blurred. The pressure of being a fighter isn't just physical, it's mental. Covington wasn't just fighting his opponents. He was fighting the image he created for himself, walking a tightrope between fame and infamy. His rivalry with Kamaru Usman, widely regarded as one of the most intense in UFC history, set the stage for some of the sport's most memorable moments. But behind the facade, Covington was still the same relentless competitor. Whether you loved him or loathed him, you had to respect his hustle. Few fighters have embraced the chaos like Covington did. It's easy to get caught up in the drama, but Covington's fight against Kamaru Usman at UFC 245 reminded the world why he's a top-tier fighter. 5 rounds of back-and-forth brutality, Covington didn't just stand toe. He kept swinging, kept wrestling, kept pushing, showing that beneath the bravado is a fighter with an indomitable will. But just like any great story, Covington's wasn't without its low points. His loss to Usman was heartbreaking, his dream of the welterweight title slipping away, at least for a moment. Yet, in the defeat, Covington's spirit shone through. He promised to come back stronger, to learn from the loss, and to reclaim his place at the top. After his defeat, some thought Covington's persona would fade, that the setbacks would quiet him down. But Covington didn't just bounce back, he exploded back onto the scene. His fight against Tyron Woodley was a perfect example. Dominating a former champion with ease, Covington once again proved that he wasn't just talk. But the real comeback wasn't in the Octagon. It was in his ability to reinvent himself, to stay relevant, to keep the world talking. As a fighter, it's about more than winning belts. It's about staying in the conversation, ensuring that when fans debate the greats, your name comes up. And for Covington, every fight is a chance to cement that legacy. But let's ask ourselves this: how long can you keep the world's attention? Can Covington's brash persona withstand the test of time, or will he need to evolve once more to remain at the top? Despite the media frenzy and personal attacks, Covington's focus remained razor sharp. He turned each setback into fuel, a reminder of his mission to solidify himself as the best in the world. His victory over Woodley wasn't just about reclaiming his place in the welterweight division. It was about silencing doubters who questioned his abilities beyond the trash talk. The performance was a masterclass, a testament to the relentless work Covington had put in behind the scenes. He didn't just win, he dominated, proving that even when the world seems against you, perseverance can carve out your path to greatness. Covington's approach to the fight game is unique. He understands that fighting isn't just about what happens in the Octagon. It's a mental chess game where promotion, psychology, and mind games play just as much of a role. In many ways, he's revolutionized the way fighters market themselves. Love him or hate him, Covington has capitalized on this to build a brand that transcends just being a fighter. As he moves closer to another title shot, you can't help but feel that, win or lose, Colby Covington has cemented himself as one of the sport's most talked. With rumors of another showdown with Usman or a potential fight against rising stars, Covington stands on the edge of greatness once again. But the road won't be easy. The welterweight division is stacked with talent, and Covington will need to bring his best to reclaim the crown. Whether or not he captures the belt again, one thing is clear: Colby Covington's legacy in the UFC is already cemented. He's proven that he's not just a fighter, but a master of the sport's mental game. As we close, the question remains, will Colby Covington be remembered as the fighter who talked his way to the top, or as one of the most talented competitors the sport has ever seen? Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure: Colby Covington isn't going anywhere. His story is still being written, and we're all watching to see what happens next. And speaking of writing your own legacy, if you're ready to unlock the secret to long-term success, check out our next video on the power of compounding. Trust me, you don't want to miss this.